Hi, Jen.
Hi.
So good to see you.
Can you see me okay?
I can see you great and your beautiful
Okay,
artwork
great.
behind you.
What? You know, I need to rearrange because everything's kind of falling. Most of it's my art. That horse I found at a thrift store. And yeah, just art. And I did this one recently, which is just says trust everywhere because I needed that reminder,
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Um, any reminders, either at school or whatever
Hey,
works, right?
tattoos on the wall, post-it notes, what
You
have
have
you?
it.
Yeah.
What
So
have you?
when we first started, so here this afternoon, I have Jen Pastiloff. I have On Being Human, her first book, and I'm listening to the audio of Proof of Life. Do you have that book to show?
Thank you. I do know that book. I mean, it's funny. I'm deaf. If you're listening and don't know me, I'm deaf. I wear hearing aids and read lips, so I mishear everything. It sounded like you said, "Do you know that book?" But the delivery was so dry. I was like, "Man, she's brilliant at comedy." But I don't think that's what you said. But
Do
I
you
do know
have
that book.
do you have that book to show?
Like, I actually have so many copies of it. Where did I put it? One right here, and I know it. And you're probably talking to the listener, the watcher, but I wrote it, and it's me on audio. So
Yeah.
I love that you're listening to it. Thank you.
So I know you're deaf because I have read your book, but did you say you're fully deaf, partially deaf,
Without my
and
hearing,
delivering?
well, yeah. So it's gotten progressively worse over time. So without my hearing aids, 100%. And my left ear is shite. So the left hearing aid broke, but even it doesn't make much difference. It makes a tiny difference that I'm not wearing it, um, but yeah, without my hearing aids, nil.
Okay.
But I lip read and I wear hearing aids, and but I'm not in like deaf culture. That's capital D deaf. I don't know ASL, and it's tricky. It's like a liminal in between space, you know.
Sure, sure. And you also started by saying you're 8 months sober from alcohol.
Yeah, because we had a little snafu. With my computer, I'm using my laptop, and the sound isn't as good, so I have my hearing aids turned all the way up, but I'm still like mishearing everything, which is hilarious because the stuff I hear is so outrageous. But I believe you said 8 months sober, yes, and boy, am I in it, so to speak. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna take a drink right now of sparkling water.
Yeah. Yeah, I say I still have a drinking problem. I just drink different substances. I have three LaCroix, three waters, lots of coffee.
But you drink alcohol and case. I missed the part
No.
about
I don't drink alcohol, but I still have a drinking problem. It's just
totally, totally.
every other substance.
I love your sense of humor, the dryness of that, like absolutely. And also, it's funny because I started making art 3 years ago or something. I can literally cannot draw a stick figure, and I just started playing. But the amount of art at my house, at Henry's, all over, it looks like I have been making art prolifically since I was like 4 years old. I mean, it's insane. And so, um, it's just my friends just like, I traded one addiction for another,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not mad at it. It's healthier. It's all good.
Hey, I said addiction is addiction is addiction. At least we trade them out for
Well, I
healthy.
mean, also it's like, it's not, with the school of whatever works, this thing I made up
Hmm.
because I like to make up phrases that will resonate with me so that I actually listen to myself. Because
Hmm.
most of the time I only listen when I'm being a jerk to myself.
Your inner
But
asshole.
what?
Your inner asshole.
Yeah, I don't know if I could curse. Yes, my inner
Yes, of
asshole.
course.
I don't know. I don't want to assume my inner asshole. So I listen to that, but otherwise it's like nah. But the school of whatever works, is like as long whatever works, barring you're not intentionally hurting yourself or anyone else. Because look, people are going to be hurt, but intentionally. And so the thing with drinking is ultimately it was hurting me.
Hmm.
And although I would say, well, it wasn't intentional, it was. But with the art, no. So,
Yeah.
yes, maybe it's like, okay, you should sleep, Jennifer, or you're supposed to be working on your book. I still find it to be medicine.
Hmm. Okay. And in your TED Talk that you gave in February,
Yeah.
beautiful,
Thank you.
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Of
I
course.
took for granted how, you know, like I joke, I never thought I'd be Brene Brown, like Brene. I would never become her. That would be weird. But like, oh, I have a TED Talk. Not that I would get famous, but like people would watch. And I realized not only are you not going to go viral, getting people to watch it was a fascinating study in a lot in like expectations in our attention spans. And so
Hmm.
it's not lost on me. So thank you for watching it, for taking the
Welcome.
time.
You're welcome. And I'm just looking down because I want to make sure I get the title right. Nothing you do is wrong. And that is so freeing. And so much of what you say when you write and when you post videos is about giving yourself permission. And that is such a freeing thing because we
Yeah,
need
yeah.
permission.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. And like I make them for you, but I also make them for me because I'm a hypocritical asshole a lot of the time to myself, right?
Yeah.
Because, it's not that I don't believe what I'm saying, but embodying it is so much harder, and as we know. And that was something, that specific sentence, nothing you do is wrong, is something that my son said to me in February or end of January. He was 8. And the epiphany was like, I've been waiting my whole life to hear that, after believing it was my fault. My dad died. And so had I said it to myself, like I said, I would have thought, you dirty rotten liar, shut up. But because it's this little sweet innocent face, well,
Mhm.
that was a game changer.
Yeah. Our kids can teach us so much.
Anyone and everything can, and absolutely yes. And when we stay open, we find our teachers, we find the messages, and that's the thing I needed to hear, and out of the mouths of babes. But the gift was, well, you know what? Now I can't disbelieve. Now I'm not going to go, oh, you're a liar. It kind of forced me to sit with that, and what a gift. So when I was able to, hopefully, even if I gift it to one person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because if they're anything like me, I listen more when someone else is telling me something than my own self quite often.
Sure, sure. Well, and your post-it notes. The reason I wanted to launch this podcast is because our world is crumbling. People are feeling hopeless and helpless, and being able to say, what can I do? And it's got to
Yeah,
start with me, because if I'm feeling detached, then I can't be of service to anybody else. And so
100%.
the post-it notes, I mean, I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist, so the idea of these sayings can really ring true.
Isn't it cool too? Like wow. So now we have an example of beautiful listening, and that is sarcasm at its finest because my son, I told I was going to be doing a podcast. Yes, son, you'll be featured on this podcast. I hope it's an emergency, son.
I'm just asking, me and Mommy want to go to the park, so.
Wow, that sure qualifies as an emergency. Shut the door and I love you.
But I'm asking.
Yes, goodbye. Goodbye. I love you. Charlie Mao. Charlie Mao. I love you. Love you. Love you. Ah.
Park? He
Okay.
wants to go to the park?
Real life. I used to use this hashtag all the time, like when he was born, and I'm gonna bring it back from the dead. Real motherfucking life. That was the hashtag. Google it. I started that, or not Google, whatever.
Yeah.
But friends, listeners, watchers, you just smack. You gotta like real life version of that. Um, I love the sticky note thing that you picked up on that part because I always, use them. But then when it really started to dawn on me, the metaphor and literal gift that they were, because it's like, you can move them around, you could change your mind, which is something I did not believe I got to do. You could throw it away, you can put it anywhere, you don't have to stay stuck. And I thought, well, wait a minute. Actually, we're like that too. And so they serve as reminders. Again, whatever works.
Yeah. And you are single parenting right now, or co-parenting, right? Are you
Co-parent. I mean, at the moment, like
sure at
this,
this physical time? Yes.
absolutely co-parenting.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you tell people about your decision to get divorced? You say something about
Well,
that.
wait a minute. I'm not divorced. Did you say, like, what did you? I heard the word divorce. Isn't it fun, friends, sitting with a deaf person?
That's my bad. I thought
It's not everyone. It's not your bad actually because because it's we're not together. We're just not legally divorced.
got
And,
it. You're
and
separated. Would that be the correct language to use?
what
Separation?
yeah, but we kind of still live together. And if I'm going to be transparent, because why
Yeah.
not? I'm in that mood.
Yeah.
It's financial. And so, but it's actually beautiful. My son, we're roommates, and it's kind of how we were before.
Yeah.
And my son, there's no sense of lack. So with my partner, I mean, he worships his father, but with my partner, he loves him and he doesn't ever clock that he has to hide it, or
Okay.
it's so there's such a sense of enoughness, and that is the opposite of what I like, what was in my marrow from 8 years old on, and that makes me very proud. And you know I can't say how Robert feels about me, but we coexist, and as far as Harley knows, we're really good friends, and he gets to see that, and I model that, and that makes me feel really great. But we're separated. Obviously, I'm with someone else. We're just not officially divorced.
Okay. Okay. So how did you come to that knowing? Because a lot of the people I work with too will
Sure.
say, "Oh, it's not that bad. But I'm not in love with this person.
I'm
We're
glad you asked. So, well, you didn't get there yet, or maybe you did, but in one of the chapters of the book, of my new book, Proof of Life, is called Leaving the Land of Fine. And
Mhm.
they're sort of like, well, who gets to do that? There's a bit of, and a lot of us have that mentality for whatever reason, you know. So there's that, who gets to leave fine. And, there's a part where I say to the reader, like, hold up and wait. If you're going to play the popular and ever futile game of, but why? Because my ex, lovely, kind, lovely, and there's no outward bruises. Now, the first thing I want to say about that is Janet's worse than you think. They're not thinking about you at all. They don't give a shit. But the point is this, because I wanted to, my want is enough. So I love that, like just stating out there, like I don't owe anyone an explanation, right?
Mhm.
But for me particularly, and I'm guessing you've dealt with people with this issue because of my childhood trauma and the suddenness of it, and that I thought it was my fault. I thought change meant death, fact. And so I avoided change at all costs. I would rather be miserable. I would rather, I mean, you name it, as long as I didn't have to change.
Yeah.
So there were so many factors. Like, also, I believed I was a bad person who killed her father.
Mhm.
So like, who was I to ask? There's so much there. But at the end of the day, change to me, period, death, that's it. um and how I came to the where I'm at now,
Mhm.
it felt like it was, I had no control over it. Now, of course I did, but when I tell you, when the words slipped out of my mouth, I'm not happy, which is something I never said out loud, but which apparently everyone could see. I did not, I had no, it felt like I had no control. They just came out.
Mhm.
And then once I named it, that was it.
Mhm.
But they came out because of something that he said. And that became a crucible because I've been living in denial, even though I knew. Like, I knew what I knew. And as a therapist, you may or may not agree, but I think talk therapy is wonderful. I wish I could afford you, or a therapist. But
Sure.
I think, being self aware, great. That's only a tiny part of it because, like, I knew it's the now what? And I knew, but I pretended I didn't know, and I lived in denial. So when someone actually puts it in your face or says a thing and you still pretend,
Mhm.
then I have to reckon with, who am I being? And I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
And may I be who I say I am?
Mhm.
And so it was a crucible. And so when those words came out, it felt like a non-negotiable. But it had to get to that point. Like, now that we're living how we're living, it's really weird because it's been 3 years almost. It's like, oh my God, I can see more clearly. This is how we always were. And sometimes it hurts my heart just
Mm.
how disconnected I was. And it was just fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, everyone has their own personal crucible, or they don't.
Sure. What, right. Well, and thank you for bringing that up about talk therapy. Talk therapy can be great for people. You are rooted in I believe from what I know of you, yoga-ish, as you call it, and these
Yeah,
yoga, I mean, I think your books are retreats of the mind, the body, and the soul. And so
bingo.
being able to tap into all of that and whatever works for you and whatever awakens
Right.
you is what's most important.
Well, the reason I want to make a shirt that says being self-aware is overrated is because, you know, I am not the smartest person. I swear it, I'm just getting dumber every day. But I've always been really wise, like even as a little kid, and my son is like that too.
Uh-huh.
And so I was always very self-aware, and I would trick the therapist, I would trick the world, but I was very self-aware. And like, especially with getting sober, like, of course I knew. So
Yeah.
that's the thing I would joke about. Like, yeah, big fucking deal. I'm aware. It's not until I was willing to do something about it. So for me, the
Mhm.
knowing and the embodying are vastly different until they're not. And also, you know, being self-aware is like big fucking deal until that's not the thing that creates the shift or the change. If that is indeed what you want,
It takes action.
it's what?
Action.
That's it. And I call it now what? Being human ends with those very words. And this, proof of life is like the answer to that. Although it's not your answer, it's your invitation to find not even your answers, but your questions. Because I think the questions are always more interesting.
Sure, absolutely. I love questions. You waitressed, what did you call it? You waitressed for a summer for 14 years.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I was like, what did I call it? Serving or, yeah, like I took a semester off and I worked for the dean and he begged me. He was like, don't do it. And it's funny, and I have this thing where I wish my mom would have forced me, and my other friend did it, but she went back to school. She was like, her mom didn't force her, but like I want to blame someone. But my dean said, don't do it, and don't go to LA. For every year you're there, you'll lose an IQ point. And it's funny because we had dinner like a year ago, and I was like, I gotta tell you, you were right. But anyway, yeah, I took this semester off the
Yeah.
14-year year, never went back. The summer job lasted 14 years, 5 days a week. And so, yeah, good
Made good
times.
money doing that too, as
I
a
mean,
lifelong bartender and waitress myself.
I made enough money that I was able to not leave. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Like and not change. And
Yeah.
honestly, I even after I didn't have to work there anymore, I made my way out by becoming like a well-known yoga teacher. I still kept the shift because of fear. I swear, do you know how I finally left? Because they let me go after 14 years because my tooth broke. Because I've been grinding, clenching since I was 8 to not grieve. And
Yeah.
like I was going to lead a retreat, my first retreat ever. I was hired by someone to come to Mexico and the day before, I like literally was missing a tooth, and they wanted a note, and I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute! I've been here 14 years. You gotta be kidding me! I'll give you a different kind of note, and I would still go in there after. It was a gift, but it was
Uh-huh.
hilarious. I literally had to be kicked out. And that is generally how change has always worked out for me. I've got to be like shoved out the door.
So somebody's looking out for you in some way.
Yeah, until I finally am. And that
Yeah.
that's the the big joke. And I did a thing the other night with Anne Lamont and she kept
Oh,
talking
yeah, I
about
saw
and,
that.
and this, oh yeah, it was magic. And this isn't like, she's not reinventing the wheel in this phrase, but it's an inside job. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get that tattoo because
Mhm.
all the things people told me, they're all like, yeah, yeah, until you know it. Like know it in your
Yes.
bones and
Yes.
um yeah, until I had to be looking out for me because I never was until now.
And we were joking about the fact that your book, Proof of Life, became #1 on Amazon and is an international bestseller, but you didn't make the New York Times bestseller.
Yeah, and so, when I tell you, it's funny. It's like it's frustrating because I can't find the language to wrap around what I want to say because it's so foreign. But I stopped being in my body. I stopped feeling at 8. I disassociated. I started drinking in my 20s, but I have always found a way. So I had no idea the book launch, no idea. How would I? Would elicit like I felt like I was having a breakdown like the day before the book published and I didn't understand why and I was like what's wrong with me and then I got clear. I was like, "Oh my God, this is the first thing I haven't this is, So everything's exacerbated. I'm like a raw nerve. I've only been able to cry for 3 years, okay,
Hmm.
since I was 8.
Hmm.
So I found out, and so the disappointment was like times a million, but bigger than that, what I was telling you earlier was the shame that I wanted to die. I was in an Uber about to go on stage with Anne Lamont and I couldn't breathe. I was like, who do I think I am? I named it. I said it out loud that I wanted it. How
Hmm.
dare I? I'm so ashamed. And then it didn't happen. I felt like, oh, the audacity. Then it felt like confirmation, like, because this is the reason I wanted it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Because I decided, fact, more MYT list would make I get paid good money for speaking gigs because I'm really fucking good.
Yeah.
I decided MYT list would get me more speaking gigs. I could afford to get a divorce, get my tooth fixed, etc. So it was very basic, right?
Yeah.
So when that didn't happen, there was the shame, the disappointment, then confirmation, you're always going to have to struggle. See,
Hmm.
and then I didn't have a crutch. I don't have anything. I don't have anywhere to escape.
Yeah.
I just had to, and so,
Yeah.
but it lasted. And I knew, people were offering platitudes. And I knew the one thing I said, one thing I know that I can count on, and my recovery time is quicker. And I knew, and being sober, I had to feel it and I would be fine. And I knew it wasn't really about the list.
Uh-huh.
So, the irony, though, is I wrote this whole book, like proof of life, you're your own proof of life. And here I am, like, I'm gonna die. I didn't make the list. Like, Jesus Christ, as if that makes me worthy. And
Mm.
yet, there's a part of me that that's still from a little girl, like, please let this be the thing.
Sure, sure.
So,
But
all of that.
you can't take away the disappointment of putting a goal out there and working to try to achieve that and that not happening. That is grief and loss of a dream.
It is, and it's funny. Feel like I have to keep defending the reason. Like it wasn't just my ego. And also, it's so easy to make up stories about people. No one knows how I'm living. I'm over here eating like Trader Joe's tuna straight from the can, and like, get out of here with your stories about whatever you've made up. It's all fine. Please let them come true.
Yeah.
But the reality is the
Hmm.
reality, and like, I love my retreats, and it's not just like I can do one in Italy, one Ojai. It takes everything out of me because of my hearing. Also, I give a lot away and I want to keep doing that. I want it to be like, extra.
Hmm.
And I have to hustle. I don't have to sell them, but I have to have people know about them.
Sure.
The
And
retreat,
how do you do that though? How do you leave the newsroom, the restaurant you were working at, and you know, take a
teaching
yoga?
yoga.
Yeah,
Um,
but then you're like blow up. I mean, Pink, the
well, isn't that
musician.
cute? That's adorable because it's like been 15 years, but it's sort of like,
Totally.
I love
No,
that.
there's all this in between.
Yeah, it
That's
happened
what
overnight. Kelly, let me tell you, I was waitressing, and the next day, oh my God, I'm a national bestseller. I don't know what that says, but I'm on a very important, the most popular podcast in the world right now. Literally, the number one podcast, and you're
stop
drawing
it.
like trying
Stop
to.
it.
We're
Talking
gonna go to
about
the park. Um, yeah. So I
there's
became
all this in between, right? And so
well,
like what was the in between?
and you can't see it. I'm doing off screen. Yes, in at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you, son. Now, I call that mean mommy. That's not even mean mommy. That's,
Pretty nice. Mhm.
ooh, I used to pretend I wanted to be an actress, which really meant like I waited for someone to discover me at the host stand. I said this in the TED
Yep,
Talk.
yep, yep.
Really meant like love me, give me permission to stop hating myself. But when I decided to be a yoga teacher, which by the way I never wanted to do,
Hmm.
but once I went on antidepressants, I saw a glimmer of possibility, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it'll be an escape route, and it was. But I got these little business cards made. My fit Robert Sturman had taken this like cool yoga photo of me on the beach, and I made these little cards, and I started dropping them like my regulars, and I started getting clients. But I started hustling in a
Hmm.
like at pounding the pavement like I never did as an actor. And I was like, oh, but because I got really clear, I was like 34, 35. No one's going to do this for me.
Mhm.
I don't have a college degree. I'm gonna, and I did.
Mhm.
And then I started writing again. I started sharing it on Facebook and saying things that I didn't think I should be saying, especially back then. It was very different. It wasn't like vulnerability wasn't all the rage,
Right,
especially with the
right.
yoga teachers when I would
Mhm.
talk about like antidepressants or whatever. Like, you can't say that. And so, um, instead of getting tomatoes thrown at my head or people like never coming to my classes, quite the opposite happened. And I got like, wait a minute, this is weird. So like being myself and not hiding in shame. And then eventually I started like combining the yoga and the writing and then dropping the yoga. I
Mhm.
still like have people on yoga mats and will have body movements so they're not so in their head. But ultimately I used yoga as a way out of the restaurant and as a way back into my writing. And then I melded them and made up my own thing.
Gosh. You do realize what a goddess in the recovery community you are, I hope.
What a goddess and what?
The recovery community.
No, I don't, but thank you. I mean, I think I'm so when someone tells me they've read my book, I still in this I'm not shitting you. I still feel so caught off guard and surprised and delighted. And guess what? I actually never want to stop feeling that. I don't. I don't. But I just don't take it for I no.
Yeah,
I don't. But thank you for saying that.
you're
And
welcome.
um
Well, I was introduced to you about you through Dawn Nickel through the She
oh,
Believers community. I've spoken for them and have taken a retreat of theirs. And um, yeah, your language is just so,
Dawn is amazing, and she and I are overdue for a talk because I got hired to do a keynote and I got paid good money. Although, like in the speaking realm, I'm the low man on the totem pole and
right,
I make good money to
right.
me.
Yeah.
But, like, you know what I mean. So I got paid, good money and I'm in Miami and it's like, my thing wasn't on, this was 2021, April, I think. My thing wasn't on drinking or
Yeah.
drugs. And drugs were never my thing, by
Yeah.
the way. My dad scared me off those. But mine was on like recovery from eating disorder and shame and whatnot.
Hmm.
And of course, like I said, and I'd be like in the hotel, what do you call it, bar in the bottom, but classic drinking tequila, which was my drink, but you can't tell. And like, and of course I never presented as drunk or thought I was drunk, but it wasn't lost on me that I was the only person not only at that conference, but the keynote speaker besides Nadia and Ashley Judd. And it's not lost on me. And so, recently I've been talking to Dawn about how much of a fraud I felt, and I want to talk to her about that because it wasn't that I didn't know about my drinking, and I don't really want to label it like alcoholic, but
Yeah.
a rose is a rose. I didn't want to do anything about it.
Yeah. Right.
So I didn't want to say it, but so now I can. Now I can be like, and what a fraud do you think I felt like giving that keynote?
Well, and the philosophy is we're all recovering from something.
And I don't think it takes away.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the inside job part.
sure,
It's
sure.
just that I knew. It's just
Right.
that I knew, and I'm like over there, like I wasn't even lying to myself. I just didn't want to do anything about it. But I don't. It did not take away from my talk at all. More of how I felt on the inside.
Which can be the strongest vibration.
100%.
Everybody around us can be giving us accolades. It's
Preaching
the
to the choir.
yeah,
I me.
yeah, exactly. So, will you do a big retreat again? I need to come. People need to
My next
come.
one is Italy, September 13 to 20,
Okay.
2025 is Tuscany. And I've one in Ojai, October 2nd to the 5th. But, I don't do that many anymore because it's so special and magical. And because I do end up giving so much away and because it takes so much out of me,
Yeah,
the speaking gigs I'm really fucking good at. And here's the thing, I don't have to try to fill the room. I go in, I go out. It's not a week away from my son.
correct.
And it would allow me the freedom. And so, but there's part of me that goes, who do you think you are? You get to have that. And so that day with the MYT list thing, it was, we find what we're looking for. So evidence, evidence.
Hmm.
But the retreats are my heart, so Italy will be the first time. And I'm having all this anxiety kind of about it'll be my first time there without wine. And I cannot separate it in my brain. Like I couldn't go out to dinner until recently. I
Sure.
couldn't separate. dinner time restaurant.
Yeah. And the ritual of what that represents and the association.
Yeah, I
For
mean, I'd never gone at night to a restaurant and not had alcohol. Like,
right.
it's bananas. And so now I can do it. But in Italy, I'm not at risk for drinking. That's what's fun. It's now. I have whiskey. I'm not. It's not that. It doesn't mean I don't have the feeling that I want to escape, but
Mhm.
and of course I like the taste more, the feeling, but it's all of it. It's all of it. And yet I know the idea of the thing is often harder than the thing.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but yeah, Italy and then okay.
Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about for listeners is this important piece about time. There are no time
What
gods.
is such thing that you speak of?
You had a child at what, 41?
93. I was 93. I know, I know. No, 41, yeah. I got pregnant at 40. I mean, not on purpose. It was sort of,
Mhm.
you know, I was pregnant once before. It was ectopic, and I didn't really want to be pregnant, so that was tricky because the guilt, the grief, and the relief. So then the second time, um, but it was funny because my husband would be like, "When we have kids?" I was like, "You mean if? We're like 100. I'm 40. You're, however old he was. I don't remember. He's older than me, and and it was the night before I was going to Italy, and like, and lo and behold, total. There was a part of me like, uh, I would say Catholic Jew, same thing, but like the Jewish guilt. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if I want kids, which felt so wrong. I was so envious of people that had a clarity either way. And
Yeah.
I was like, how can I be 40? And really it was fear, right?
Mhm.
But I didn't think I did. I didn't know. And so I was like, well, at least on my deathbed, I will be like, well, I didn't not try. I wasn't on birth control and I didn't
Yeah.
tell him to pull it,
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I got pregnant. And this time was funny because the time before, I mean, I would write notes like, I don't want to be pregnant. And I panicked. And this time it was like, okay, really interesting. But that kid knew. He was like, nah, I'm coming.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then my book came out at 44 and the imaginary time gods, and look, I got to put down that nonsensical imaginary timeline a lot every day sometimes of I'm behind or I'm not being productive enough or what do I have to show for it or I'm late to the game or
Or
it's
just on time.
well yeah I mean that I don't really have anything to add to that. See if I start stuttering because I was going to say I'm trying and then I heard Yoda in my head like there is no try. I'm just like late a lot. But also healing isn't linear. Who knows if time is? But I do know that so many of the constraints we put upon ourselves are based on truly bullshit, imaginary,
Mhm.
mostly patriarchal timelines that
Absolutely.
do not exist.
Mhm. And having lost your father at the age of 8 due to a heart attack
Well, yeah, I mean,
and drug use.
but
Yeah.
yeah, his heart, yeah, just
Um,
bye bye.
and naming your son after your father.
Yeah, well, as a Jew, I mean, I'm not I'm like I'm a Jew like
Jewish.
culturally, but
Jewish. Isn't that
yeah,
what you
like
say?
when Mel died, he took it with him, like yeah, I would literally like spoke Hebrew, went to yeshiva. Mel died, that was it, 8 years old. So, but you name a child after someone who's deceased, who's beloved, and I could not. Boys' names are harder to me, and I could not think of an M name. Funny thing is, my dad hated his name. His name was Melvin. No one called him that, but Mel. But as a middle name, it was adorable. But I was like, nah. And Charlie Mel is just so cute. But like, I think my dad would have literally come on back from the dead if I called him Mel. Like, what? Just flat out. But Charlie Mel felt really special, and it's funny because it's like doesn't I don't know, it just all of it, and he's so my dad. He's so funny.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God. And my ex-husband, my ex, whatever, has like brown eyes, and I have, you know, um, hazel eyes. They're like green if I'm crying, or the sun's directly in them, but they're brownish. Charlie has the bluest eyes like my dad.
Oh,
And When he was born, everyone was like, "Oh, babies have blue eyes." I said, "Yeah, look at those. They're not that gray blue." Like, I'm telling you. Someone even made me a $300 bet. They would not pay up on it. But when he was like 5, I was like, "Dude, is I yeah." But my dad sent them,
Baby blues. Love it.
right?
Um, what is your pub date? What is your
Um,
publishing?
um, um, mm. I don't know what I thought
Proof
you
of
said, but I
life.
realized it last Tuesday, July 8th.
And you got on a interview with me today by me DMing you. Thank you for saying yes. You are in the thick of it. I know you're on book tour.
That's how I am, though. You know what? I want to acknowledge that you acknowledge that because something that came up for me a lot. My inner asshole was super like vigilant in the pre-pub process because my baseline that I have to put down every day, that default, I'm bad, right? Or
Yeah,
I suck.
yeah,
Well, we look for evidence, we find it in the launch before the book, all the people that would like ignore me or, didn't reciprocate is I'm pretty generous. I am. And that largely is because my baseline is lack. And so
yeah,
every day I'm like, well, I'm going to be enough. And the people, I kept feeling disappointed or, the podcast that were like, no, thanks.
yep,
And I am so proud because I'm such an open person and I have always been this way. I have friends of every walk of life and I never ever ever assign like someone currency or value on anything. Like you are who you are.
right.
And what I realized was, oh, I see. I knew this, but really it's really coming to light how much, oh, I see. I don't have currency in your mind and I'm not, of value, so you're ignoring me. And I'm familiar with it because when I worked at that restaurant, it was a Hollywoody place and there was all these like big shot producers and agents and invisible. And like if they run into me now with Henry, my partner, at like, some kind of Paramount thing or
Uh-huh.
Oscar thing, all of a sudden they see me,
Uh-huh.
they know I have a book.
Yeah.
And like I don't play like that.
Good
And
girl.
so you
Good.
reached out to me on a human level. I forget what you said. I was like, I got you. And I really, in my deepest knowing place, every magic thing that's happened, and many have all been because of staying open.
Hmm.
And so why not? I was like, I'm free. Let's do it. And do you know what I mean? And
Do.
it's so many of us operate from the Bible of should, even if it's like it's funny, like even if we are free, it's like, well, I should what?
Yeah.
I just go with my gut. My as Katie Hendricks would call it, a full body yes. And for you, it was a full body yes. So here I
Well,
am.
thank you. And I say to my clients, do not should on yourself.
That's right. Or should is an asshole. That's my,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Same language. We
more
speak the same
more
language.
gutter mouth one, but because we
Mhm.
do a lot, and when you have a full body yes, really learning to acknowledge that, and so roll with it, and I did, and I couldn't be more grateful, and I think like, look, that's how we find our people.
Yeah. Yeah. Jennifer, I love you. Thank you.
I
Thank you
love
for
you.
saying
Thank
yes.
you. You're incredible, and your clients, whatever. I don't know what language you use to what you call them, but they're so lucky
Thank you. I feel the same way.
that they're lucky, or that you're lucky, or that we're all lucky.
I
I know.
feel that they are so lucky. I
They're so
feel
lucky.
so
Look,
lucky.
we can't if we can't laugh at ourselves or take the piss out of ourselves, I truly think we're screwed. I think it's like the key to everything. So I'm glad you have a sense of humor. I'm glad for your clients' patience that you have a sense of humor because there's nothing worse than a boring
I know.
therapist with no
I know.
sense of humor.
Yeah. I try to be as human as I am. What you see
Well,
is
you
what
don't
you
have to
get.
try. You are, all
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to try. Thank you. All
Yoda.
right, everybody can find your books in my show notes and your beautiful website and your
My
your
Substack is
retreat.
called Proof of
And
Life.
yeah, Substack, Proof of Life, your TED Talk. I
I
mean,
mean,
just
it's
Google
funny.
your
I
name
said
and she'll be like,
I'm
pop up.
either I'm either real smart with SEO or real lazy with naming. Proof of life. Give me
Love
some
it.
proof of life, people. But I love you too, and I got you.
Thank you.